We have another Star Wars Legion preview, and in the words of Atomic Mass Games, this may be the biggest rule change that they are implementing when they do the new core rulebook. And I have to say, I like it again. Just to reiterate, yes, I am moving away from Legion. However, these sort of like positive rule changes are really tempting me to come back. I don't think we're quite at that point yet, but if they keep going in this direction, maybe at some point. Let me jump into the rule anyway. The rule is simply called passing. Now, we can skip all the fluff about the core rulebook. You already know what that is. They're going to give more and more previews. However, this one addresses an issue that a lot of people have felt in Star Wars Legion. Simply having more activations was an advantage. And that seems a bit weird because points wise, that basically means that the cheaper units are perhaps better than the more expensive ones purely because you can get more of them in. Basically, some shenanigans were going on, and they wanted to address that, and the way they're doing it is with passing. Now, this may be in other games, I'm pretty sure it is. A bit of me thinks it might have been in Skirmish or something. Like in my head, passing has been a thing in a game that I played, and I don't know if it was Legion Skirmish or maybe it was something like Kill Team or Warcry or something. Either way, it's going to be relatively simple. I won't read it exactly, but if your opponent has more units left to activate than you do, you can pass. Now, you can only pass once per turn, so it's not like you can just continuously pass to equal up the activations. You will be able to only do it once, but timing when that is could be super important. It's interesting, isn't it, because in Star Wars Legion, and this is perhaps one reason I don't necessarily get along with it these days, in that doing nothing sometimes is beneficial because you sort of know, hey, my opponent needs to come to me, I want to wait for them. And if you like take and activate and then you stand by and then they just get out of the way by moving behind terrain or something, you're like, oh, I really didn't get the use out of that activation, where if I went in a couple moves, maybe I could. What's interesting about this is that it doesn't actually mean that the player with the fewest activations when you start the game will always get it. If one team starts dominating and like taking out a lot of activations, then you could swing. The person who had the most activations may be the person who ends up with the fewest, and then they can pass. So it really is that sort of like balancing mechanism just throughout the game. From reading what they say here, that it was like an arduous road filled with plenty of pitfalls and lessons learned, I'm guessing they did variants of this mechanic, and sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I do sort of agree with them here. We're excited for this new addition to Legion to really open up list building and player creativity. If I'm honest, generally when I was playing Legion, the more fun armies are sort of maybe like 7 units or even 6, whereas the better ones were 9, 10, sometimes 11. And this just balances it, not in a massive way, but in an important way. And I have to say, I really like it. I think what AMG are doing are positive changes. I like the fact that they're doing it at the same time that they introduce this core rulebook. It's not a sweeping like 2nd edition. It's not like X-Wing 2.5, even though that's technically not a new edition, but you know what I mean? They're not sweeping changes. They're just sort of like evolutions and sometimes simplification, as we saw with the line of sight rule. But in a rule like this, then I think it's just good for the health of the game. Some people will be unhappy with the tactical list building that they had to do before, where they're like, I want to make 11 activations, 12 activations, whatever it is, and that list isn't going to be as strong. Well, it's not like way weaker. Having more activations will still be good. You still will, in general, have more control over when you activate, but they're just sort of making it a little bit more balanced. And I have to say, yeah, I'm really positive about these changes. I didn't even know this was coming. If I did, maybe I would have hung out a little bit longer on Legion, but it's too late now. My heart's in Shatterpoint. However, I am keeping my Empire army forever, so, who knows. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. I'd be very intrigued at what you have to say about it. Are you happy about it? Sad about it? Are you frustrated? Or do you think they're actually moving in the right direction like I do? Let me know in the comments below. What you should definitely do, though, is have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.